Welcome to this, the very first episode of my brand new show, a weekly dose of volume. I am your host, the Elder. Well, firstly, I would like to give a shout out to young JJ at the Obelisk, who sent me this fucking kick-ass t-shirt. Yes. If you do not read the Obelisk, then a curse on your house. I'm just joking, I'm kidding, of course I'm kidding. But seriously, you should. That boy knows how to keep it cosmic, and his words are first class, so support him. When the guys at Kozmik Artifactz first summoned me, I assumed it was because they were after my ability to find a diamond in the rough and inspire it into rock greatness. So when they asked me to host this weekly show, I thought, I've never been the center of attention before. I certainly like to play and talk about records. And if I could reach and inspire a lot more humans through your immortal technologies, then yes, I thought perhaps this idea had some potential. Of course, they offered me some money, but I'm a creature of simple wants and needs. I don't have a purpose for human gold. So here I am for the bargain price of all the records I could want from the warehouse. That goes without saying. And then just as, the usual small things. Pizza to the castle whenever I want. A few kegs of beer. A fine Scottish whiskey, which reminds me, you are falling short on that. And of course, the sweet, sweet flower that inspires us all. So welcome to my show. Take a seat, get comfortable, pour yourself a tipple, and buckle in as we descend to the heavy underground. Usually at this point we would dive into the underground news. But unless, like me, you have been living in an enchanted castle in a forbidden forest for centuries, then the only news we need talk about this week is, of course, the return of Dozer. My, who could have predicted this? Well, of course I did, but who among you mortals? Yes, Dozer have returned, and they have done so in spectacular fashion. It has been over a decade since Dozer vanished from our scene, and whilst from their absence great things arose, the question of whether the Stoner Rock Titans would ever return seemed to linger uncertain and unanswered. Well, surprise, motherfuckers. If you were ever in any doubt, shame on you. This is a record that not only delivers, it lifts you back into your home, sits you down on your favorite chair, takes off your shoes, pours your favorite beer, and says, "Good job, buddy. Now enjoy." The first thing that hits you is the magnitude of the sound. Remember, your human technologies have come a long way in a decade, and it shows. The sound is full and thunderous. The production is stellar throughout. It is like a warm, fuzzy embrace from an old friend. And the musical compositions themselves are exactly what you would expect from such a sleeping giant. When you've been away from something so long, you do not simply come back and fart in the corner and hope someone recognizes you. Oh, no, no, no. You smash the doors down and you say, "Honey, I'm home!" Did you miss me? Everything you know and love about Dozer is back, yet there is a certain maturity to their sound that can only come from age and experience. And whilst they may have been out of sight, they certainly have kept their finger on the pulse of what you have all been rocking to in their absence, incorporating these modern sounds into their own reinvigorated sound. Drifting into the endless void is the record we needed this year to set the bar high. Will this be record of the year? Who knows? Time will tell. But a gigantic gauntlet has been thrown down, and I, for one, eagerly await its contenders. Drifting into the endless void is out now on our dear friends Blues Funeral Records. And of course, you can pick up a copy from the Kozmik store. A link will be in the description. Fantastic! Yes, this is good. Yes, this is it. You shall not pass! You shall not fucking pass! Back in January, we released this delightful record. Truly an orgasmic stimulation for both the eyes and the ears. I mean, take a look at that artwork. The stories it paints, the questions it conjures, and that's before we reach the beautiful final. This is the Cosmic Edition, but we also have an electrifying neon magenta available over on the Cosmic Store. I'm of course talking about Futures Past, the debut LP from Molten Gold, out now on Kozmik Artifactz. A relatively new and undiscovered gem in the Cosmic catalogue, but this is why I am here, children, to guide you on your musical discovery. Hailing from Norway, Molten Gold plays serious fucking prog rock inspired by the luminaries such as Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, Rush, Captain Beyond, and early Genesis. Yes, whilst many rushed to worship the altar of Sabbath, Molten Gold found more in common with the latter. A collective group of stellar musicians, misfits, geeks, and oddballs who were more interested in the limits of their music than of any rock and roll excess and infamy. And you know what? It goes down like a cold, crisp, freshly poured pint of beer. Oh, so refreshing. Here at Kozmik Artifactz, we are always on the hunt for interesting new sounds and takes on heavy rock. Being truly unique and true to oneself, this is what makes for an interesting band, and Molten Gold embody this. But don't take my word for it. Come with me now as we travel to Norway, where I believe Molten Gold are expecting my arrival. Hello, hello, hello. How are you, my dear boys? My dear boys. Please, please, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Matteo. I'm the drummer of Molten Gold.
Greetings, venerable wizard. I am Abraxas, the singer.
And I am Jørn, the guitar player.
I am Anders, I play the organ.
I am Trond, and I play the bass guitar.
He's also very modest about having written most of the stuff on the album.
Yeah, we'll deal with that later. I just think we fucked the take.
So, future's past, eh, my boys? Doing well, doing well. Tell us a bit about how the band formed and how the material for this spectacular album came about.
Well, the band was formed around 2015 from an idea, or a vision, if you like, call it that. I looked around at the time, and there didn't seem to be too many bands who played the sort of music I was into. There were quite a lot of bands with a certain take on 70s rock, but very few that started from things like Deep Purple and Uriah Heep and early Rush.
Yes.
And on that basis, I thought the band is needed, which of course makes this a sort of protest act or statement band, punk rock.
Molten Gold to the rescue. I see.
And there were quite a few lineup changes in the early years, especially since Jørn, who was first asked among all to join as a guitarist, he declined impolitely.
I thought it was a boogie band.
It would have been at the time. And
Could have been
anyway,
a future.
happily for us, he came aboard some
Good
years
old
later
Jørn.
and stayed with us for 5 years. And 2019, just before COVID, the lineup sort of settled and came together nicely when Christopher and Matteo joined. And we decided that that was the sort of winning formula for this band. Yeah. Well, most of the songs were written from a sort of urge to write, to get it out. You get the feeling that songs are crowding in, and you don't want to burn up with a lot of unrealized songs. But not all the songs are very new. Some of the songs, like Kneel and Pray and Bleeding Over, were stuff Jørn and I were fooling around with ages ago.
When was it?
You don't even know.
Way back.
20 years ago.
It's not 20 years. It's not that bad. It's close to 15, I think.
Yeah.
There is, of course, always a certain process to making a song.
Of course.
You get the idea, you make a demo, and you sort of get it out, and you go to the band and you show it, you explain the intention behind the whole thing, and then starts the whole band process, which sort of sanded off and honed and tuned and brought alive basically.
Yes.
And in that work, Matteo is very important because he's an extremely competent drummer.
Matteo.
And
Yes.
then there is, of course, the graphics, which is done by Anders, our keyboarder. He has painted this
It is fantastic.
wonderful
It is
record
absolutely
for us,
fantastic.
for Futures Past. The graphics are important because there's sort of this belief, almost this article of faith in sort of synthesis between music and lyrics and graphics.
Future's Past. What an ominous title. What is the record about? What are its themes, topics? Please indulge us.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit because I can never remember
You
all
go
7
ahead.
songs.
There's many
So
songs.
see, the themes in this record is that you have low or low gone bad in Bleeding Over, Low's Labor's Lost Hope, as we wrote. and you have the dubious blessings of social control in Kneel and Pray.
I love that song.
Rebirth is a sort of hammer horror
Rebirth.
pagan fiction or pagan fantasy. While Sons of the Morning Star have a bit of liberation theology. Let's just call it that. Moonstone is basically a space fantasy, and Silverback is cherished memories, so to speak.
You old romantic.
The standout song lyrically on this is Socorro, which reads under it, A Ghost of Christmas Past. And the reason for that is that when I was a little kid, they would always show this George C. Scott adaptation of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol every Christmas.
yes.
And it absolutely scared the hell out of me. Of course, in the cheesy Victorian moral tradition, Scrooge is turned to be nice, and he is saved, and everything is nice about the turkey. And I thought he didn't really deserve that. What if instead of being turned, he dies desperate and alone in his bed while these terrible ghosts show up? And I took that fear and made that to Socorro. And that's sort of our Christmas anthem. Good.
Molten
That's
Gold
what
for
that's
Christmas
about. So
number
that's the
one.
lyrics anyway. So now we're getting a whole load of equally negative lyrics from Christopher. That will deal with terrible
next album.
things.
That's a difficult second now.
Next time we're invited to your tower.
Oh, you want
Yes.
to come to the tower? Now we have a lot of music geeks and buffs listening, so please, for them, tell us, how did you record this record?
Well,
We recorded it here.
Yeah,
It took forever.
Well, in a way, it took forever. The basic tracks didn't take forever. We
No.
actually did that quite fast.
Yeah,
Yeah, a couple of weekends.
A couple of-
and,
yeah.
Then came COVID.
The
And then-
vocals didn't take long either, I might add.
Oh,
Guitar solos. That was a big one.
Yeah.
So and then we did some overdubs with the keyboard and the basics and some solos and stuff like that. And then COVID hit, I
Yeah.
think.
God,
pretty
damn
And
it.
then we were kind of in a dire place.
I mean, Anders was doing quite some work with the graphics.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
that is
sure,
true.
sure.
Absolutely.
But the recordings were
Yeah,
not
yeah, the
finished,
recordings,
so,
no,
and
yeah.
then we managed to finish them with some intense vocal sessions, I can say, and some finger bleeding solo sessions, guitar solo sessions. And then after that, we mixed it quite not so soon after, maybe. I'm not sure. We
Was
had
the
some.
summer.
Yeah, we had some COVID fatigue.
Because it was like,
all around.
and there was regulations as well. Suddenly
yeah,
society would open up and then would close down. You can't go to the store, you can't kick your garbage to the curb, things like that. And
Yeah.
suddenly it's open, and then you went to the studio and then it could close down again.
God damn,
A lot of back
There's a
and
lot of
forth.
that.
Then we got it mixed in summer.
nice.
Yeah, and then it was suddenly finished, and then
Yeah.
now we're here.
No, here we are. Yeah,
But it turned out pretty well.
yeah it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
The record is out now, guys. You must be very excited. How does it feel to have it out in the world? And on such beautiful vinyl, of course.
Feels good. It's a relief, I think, to be done with it, because it has had all these COVID delays and Russia invading Ukraine delays and COVID fatigue and depression delays and all the other kinds of delays. So yeah, I joined this band with sort of an expectation that we were learning the songs, recording them, and then releasing them, and then the world didn't work quite like that for a
It
couple of
never
years. So
does.
it's good to be done with it. I think the result is good, and
It's good to go out to concerts with a product
yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, of
and
course.
to show
Of
people,
course.
look, we have done something.
yeah.
Give
and
the
listen
punters
people-
what they want.
Or like talking to people and getting like good feedback.
Yep.
Back. It's that's the nicest part, I think, for me
That's
at least.
very
Yeah,
nice.
and I think the reactions have been quite how do you say that?
Overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a way.
El Coyote, Denpa Fuzz,
Sure.
what else?
Doom charts.
Doom charts.
Doom charts, of course. I love them.
Even
So
top 10 on Doom charts in January.
The Doom
That was
charts
nice.
are
That was really
fantastic.
nice. So it's we have gotten really good reactions, and of course it's a product we're really proud of. So
Yeah.
it's kind of not unexpected in a way. The songs are good and it's good, but still it felt really good having the good reactions we've been having.
And of course also because not to be so cool, I won't lie, you know, that with the whole COVID thing, we never got it finished. It became a sort of albatross, like Rhino the Ancient Mariner, Iron Maiden. You know,
Well, you got it in
that
the end.
It was good to get it out, but now, and we played a gig 3 days ago.
Yeah.
3 days ago, and it's really nice to see a full merch stand. vinyl.
Yes, a merch stand is nothing
of course,
without
There were
vinyl.
people there too.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
Not
That's true.
just the
Not
merch
just a
stand.
merch.
the
Some guy
people
bought the
listening to us. Yeah.
And we're really proud of the cover, which Anders drew.
The
Maybe you
cover
can say
is
something about that. It's
Phenomenal.
part of the project, you know.
The cover.
Yeah.
Well, it's just trying to manifest the songs, like talking to you about what you were thinking about.
I absolutely love the
And
cover.
so you can sort of find all the songs somewhere on the cover if you look for
It's
it.
a thing of beauty.
Just
It's all Scrooge McDuck, you know.
so every song is covered on the cover, so to speak.
As you are aware, dear boys, rock and roll courses through my veins, but let us for a second talk about your influences. What sounds helped create Molten Gold?
Yeah, so I'm a bit of a like the black goat, so to speak.
The black goat.
Before coming to the band, I was really into like power metal. I'm still a lot
Power
into
metal.
power metal, and maybe you can hear it because I'm just putting too many feels
There's no
throughout the
such
record. But thanks to these guys, I started like listening to more classical things. I really started loving Eurohip. I think that the way that the flute is playing and like just the instruments, they just get used in, I mean, from my point of view, such a different way that is inspiring. And of course the old stuff like Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, and the whole shebang. But yeah, for me it's really interesting to see how listening to all this different kind of music just reflects in my playing, and
Well, the drums
from
are
the previous
fantastic.
album to the one that we are kind of putting together. I see that my playing is changing, and my approach to the instrument is changing, and that's really
That is very cool.
That's really
That is
interesting.
very cool.
And
The problem is that you're too young to understand that you sound like a cross between Bill Ward and Chuck Biscuits. There's no great glory.
Yeah, I've probably come from around the same neck of the wood as Tron with all the organ rock and Jethro Tull, and I still
There is
consider
not
Ian
enough
Anders
organ.
my sort of hero when it comes to fronting a band and performing. Yeah, him, Dio.
Dio!
But then when I started this band, I have been doing a lot of heavy metal and sort of epic doom stuff for a decade.
Excellent.
So I was very set in that sort of dramatic heavy metal type. I had that as sort of mindset, and I wanted to bring some of that into this band for some reason, because I like the 70s stuff, but I don't like becoming a museum band, sort of. So I wanted to see if I could
I
try and
think you
add
have
some
done that. I
dynamic
think you have
in
done
some
that.
sort of way. And I, of course, got ground down a bit along the process there too, and I think we ended up in a good place.
Oh,
But,
yes. The
it
sound
is
is
a
fantastic.
sort of a bit of an influence from that side. my singing for bands like Trouble and Candlemass.
Oh, now we're talking.
Ronnie Dio, you love Ronnie.
Yeah, Ronnie Dio is a huge
Dio.
influence. And also his solo stuff and his Black Sabbath stuff. I don't know if that is swearing on the
Oh,
Kozmik.
of course not. Of course not. Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, I guess I also come from the sort of heavy metal background. Back when I started to play the guitar, it was to, you know, Testament and Iron Maiden and Metallica and stuff like that, and also some influences from, I guess, the Beatles and of course Jimi Hendrix and maybe Neil Young even and stuff like that. But I guess later, as I started to listen to a lot of other kind of music, I think that as a guitar player, I think that mostly I'm influenced by I guess Iron Maiden in a way, and also stuff like Small Faces and the melodic part of playing the guitar. I'm not a shredder, and I will never be. Although I recognize Yngwie Malmsteen and those guys, it's not something I've ever wanted to do. So it's the melodic part of it that
you can only
I
play
really
from
like.
the soul.
And throughout, I've sort of always listened to old music, not really thinking about what it is. But this last, I don't know, 10 years or so, I started to listen to a lot of modern retro bands. And it's kind of interesting because, as Abraxas said, that we do not want to be a museum band.
I have never
and
heard this
and
term.
the museum part of it is something that I absolutely don't want to do, but I
Molten
mean,
Gold
getting
is a thing
influences
of its own.
As an adult from a band like Hawkwind, for instance, is kind of interesting, and to incorporate that kind of attitude into the more melodic approach is something I'm very much into at the moment.
Perfect.
I also love the
knows.
70s sound, and as for my major influences in the keyboard area, I have two. They are Ray Manzarek from the Doors
A
and
master.
Ralph, the piano-playing dog from the Muppet. Those are my two heroes, and that's it.
A man of little words.
I'm sort of more hard rocker and a rock and roller.
My
The
man.
obvious influences for me are things like Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, early Rush,
Rush,
Genesis,
yes, Genesis, I like.
Jethro Tull,
Ah.
things like that. And in the same vein, Norwegian legacy bands like Höst, Aunt Mary and Rufus, and those are pretty influential with me.
It shows.
As for not being a museum exhibit, as Jan says, that it's sort of what you put in comes out, you
Yes.
know,
Yes.
and
Yes.
that's it. And when you go around listening to Trapeze every day, it will turn out a bit like that. Also, there's in one corner actually, with me, lurk the Faces, Aerosmith,
Yes. Yes.
Free, Lynyrd Skynyrd, and those people.
I knew them well.
And in another corner lurk Danzig and the Damned.
Oh,
And
yes.
I think you have to be pretty good to spot it, but it's all visible at some point, you know.
I will give it another
And as for bass influences, I'd like to say, yeah, Andy Fraser. Absolute favorite is Gary Thane of Uriah
Yes.
Heep, Neil Murray of original Whitesnake, and yeah, players like that. Dennis Dunaway of the Alice Cooper group. Those are basically the most influential bass players. So it's sort of more a hard rock and roll
yes,
sort.
yes, yes.
And Stones, obviously.
And of course, I can't let you leave without asking you, what's next for Molten Gold?
Domination.
You are
Recording all the stuff we wrote during Corona.
Yes,
yes,
And that would be
Recording the next album.
The next,
Next
album.
album.
Now,
Yes.
that's
Album
sort of
number
what we
2.
want to do now, I think.
And as many gigs as we can
Yeah.
possibly get, I guess.
Yeah.
Pull
Well,
off,
promoters, if you're
We never
listening,
seem to have the time to learn the cover songs we want to do.
No.
There's always a new song that we have to learn, which is our own.
Yeah.
So, I
That
think-
is sort of a first world problem.
Yeah, it's a luxury problem.
Yeah, it's not.
But it's exciting to know that we have things that we want to record, and it just doesn't stop here. At least for
No.
me, it's like the next thing is just around the corner.
Yeah, I guess we have the songs for the next album
Perfect.
almost ready, and then some.
Yeah.
So
yes.
so we're going ahead with that, I guess.
Very exciting.
Big Three
Very
Dice are
exciting.
almost solely new songs, you know, that we're sort of live testing and
Yeah.
checking out, going through that
Fine tuning, I
process.
would say.
Yeah, fine tuning, going through that process. A demo arrives from Christopher and me, perhaps, and then it's sanded off. And after some months, they sound great on stage. And when they do sound great on stage, then they're ready to be recorded.
And then they'll sound better on stage.
Of
After we record
Amazingly
them.
so.
It's weird how that works.
Yes.
Yes, goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Futures Past is a magnificent record showcasing the talents of 5 very talented and passionate musicians indeed. This truly is the whole prog rock package. A feast for the eyes and soul. If you dig any of the influences that I or the band mentions, then do yourself a favor and check it out. This could well be the soundtrack to your summer. Before we go, we have time for one last segment. The Riff of the Week! Riff of the Week is, of course, Dozer. And a song called Andromeda. This is the closing riff, and I think you'll agree that it is worthy of this title. Well, that's me for my very first show. If you enjoyed this, please hit the subscribe. Is that it, right? Subscribe. Well, there we have it. My very first episode. I hope you enjoyed your stay. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I will be coming back next week with a brand new show, and I hope that you will join me. Until next week, my children, keep it loud, keep it heavy, keep it cosmic.